I'm sitting in my truck in the parking lot of a Walgreens on Brainerd Road at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night, and I'm shaking so bad I can't get the key in the ignition. Not because I'm cold. It's July in Chattanooga. It's never cold in July here. I'm shaking because I just pulled up my wife's fitness tracker app on my phone, the one we share because we were doing some couples wellness challenge thing back in March, and her little green dot is sitting very still at an address on Missionary Ridge that is absolutely, 100%, not her friend Carla's house. It's his apartment. I know it's his apartment because I dropped her off there once, 8 months ago, to help him move a bookcase. I sat in this same truck, engine running, music on, and waited while she went up to help. 30 minutes, she said. She was up there for 2 hours. I remember because I listened to an entire Zac Brown Band album and half of another one before she came back down, laughing at something on her phone. I told myself that was nothing. I was good at telling myself things. My name is Marcus. I'm 34 years old. I coach varsity baseball at a high school out in East Ridge, and I teach PE. It's not a glamorous job. The hours are weird. Early practices, late games, booster club meetings, film review on weekends during season. I make decent money, but not great money, and for a long time that bothered me more than I let on to Melissa. We met in 2016 at a crawfish boil at a mutual friend's place near the Tennessee River. She was laughing so loud I heard her before I saw her. She had this big, unself-conscious laugh, the kind that fills a room and dares you not to smile back. I was done for immediately. We dated for 2 years, got married in the spring of 2018 at a small venue outside of town, and moved into a house on Hickory Valley Road with a front porch swing and a backyard that flooded every time it rained hard. Life was good in that uncomplicated way that you don't fully appreciate until it isn't anymore. She worked in marketing for a regional insurance company, did a lot of social media stuff, managed campaigns, had a whole team under her. She was good at it, and she liked it, and she talked about work the way people do when they genuinely care. We had a routine. Weeknights she cooked, I cleaned up. Weekends I grilled, she made the sides. We watched too much TV and not enough of it together. We went to her parents' place in Dalton for holidays. We talked about kids the way you do in your early 30s, someday. Maybe next year. Let's see how things go. I was not a perfect husband. I want to say that clearly and early, because I've seen enough of these posts where the person telling the story paints themselves as a complete saint, and it always feels fake. My flaw was that I checked out during baseball season. Fully. The team came first from February through May, and I knew it, and Melissa knew it, and we'd argued about it more than once. She'd come to games and sit in the bleachers alone while I paced the third base line. And afterward, I'd be so deep in my own head about what happened on the field that I'd barely talk on the drive home. I am not proud of that. It is true, and it matters for context. The first weird thing was in February. She started going to a Thursday night book club. Her friend Carla had been trying to get her to join for months, so when Melissa mentioned she was finally doing it, I thought nothing of it. She'd come home around 9:30, sometimes 10, smelling like the kind of wine you pour into mason jars at places with exposed brick walls. She'd be in a good mood. Chatty. Happy. Which, again, I filed under good sign. But somewhere around the 5th or 6th Thursday, I noticed she was showering when she got home. Not unusual by itself. Except she never used to do that. She'd get home from girls' nights and fall onto the couch and watch reality TV until she fell asleep. She didn't shower at 11 o'clock. I noticed, and I said nothing because I didn't want to be the guy who interrogates his wife about her hygiene routine. Then in April, I saw her texting at the kitchen table, and she tilted the phone slightly when I walked by. Just slightly. An inch, maybe less. The kind of adjustment that could mean everything or nothing. I poured myself a glass of water and went back to watching film on my laptop and tried to convince myself I hadn't seen it. In May, she mentioned someone named Ryan at dinner. Ryan this, Ryan that. He was new to her company, had transferred from the Nashville office, was really sharp, was already making a big impression. She mentioned him maybe 3 times over 2 weeks, then stopped. That sudden disappearance of a name is somehow worse than hearing it. When someone's name just vanishes from someone's vocabulary, it's usually because they became aware they were saying it too much. I told myself I was being paranoid. It was a Saturday in late June when the paranoia stopped being background noise and became something I couldn't tune out anymore. I was mowing the backyard. The lawnmower we have is ancient and loud, and the self-propel function stopped working 2 summers ago. So I'm just pushing this heavy thing back and forth across a yard that slopes weird, sweating through my shirt, listening to absolutely nothing because the mower is too loud for headphones. And I'm thinking about Melissa because she told me that morning she was going to the farmer's market on Main Street with Carla. Normal. Fine. Except when I came inside to get water an hour later, her car was still in the driveway. She was on the phone in the bedroom with the door pulled almost closed. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was getting water, and then I heard her laugh. That big, full, room-filling laugh that I fell in love with at that crawfish boil. And it stopped me cold in the hallway. Because she hadn't laughed like that around me in months. I knew exactly what her going through the motions laugh sounded like, and this wasn't it. This was the real one. She was giving the real one to whoever was on that phone. I went back outside and finished the lawn. That night, I couldn't sleep. I lay there listening to her breathe, and I did the thing you're not supposed to do, which is construct an entire narrative out of fragments and try to talk yourself out of it simultaneously. The tilted phone, the late showers, the vanished name, the laugh through the door. I kept landing in the same place and kept dragging myself back, telling myself I had no proof, telling myself that suspicion without evidence is just jealousy with a story attached. I'd seen what that kind of accusation could do to a relationship, and I didn't want to be that guy. So I watched. I paid attention. I started noticing the mileage on her car, not tracking it exactly, just noting it. I started registering when she left and when she came back. I hated myself for it. I felt like a private investigator living in my own marriage. And then one Thursday in July, I was sitting on the couch after she left for book club, and I opened our shared fitness app to log a run I'd done that morning. And her tracker was right there. That little green dot. I almost didn't look. I genuinely almost didn't. The address resolved to a set of apartments on Missionary Ridge. My hands went cold. Everything went cold, actually, which is impressive for July in Tennessee. I sat there and watched the dot for a long time, like it might move, like it might correct itself, like the app might have a glitch. It did not move. It stayed right there, exactly where I'd waited in this same truck 8 months ago while she helped a coworker move a bookcase for 2 hours. Ryan. His name was Ryan Adler. He was 31, had moved from Nashville, was really sharp, was making a big impression. I know it was stupid to drive there. I know that. But I did. I drove to that apartment complex and I parked where I could see the entrance and I sat there in the Walgreens lot across the street like some kind of miserable cliche, and I watched, and 40 minutes later Melissa walked out the front entrance of that building with her hair down. She'd had it up when she left the house, and she was on her phone and she was smiling that smile. She didn't see me. She got in her car and drove home. I sat in that parking lot shaking for a while. Then I drove home slowly. She was on the couch when I got there. She asked where I'd been. I said I want to get some air. I didn't say anything that night. I sat with it for 2 days, which was its own kind of torture. Then on Monday, I sat down across from her at the kitchen table while she was eating breakfast, and I put my phone down between us with the fitness tracker app open, showing her little green dot on that apartment on Missionary Ridge. I didn't say anything. I just let her look at it. She looked at it for a long moment. Marcus, don't. That's all I said. It's not, okay. Okay. It's, she pressed her fingers to her forehead. How long have you had access to that? Since March. The wellness challenge. We set it up together. I forgot. I completely forgot that. How long? She looked at the table. 5 months. The number hit me like something physical. 5 months. February. Book club. The Real laugh through the door. Is it Ryan? She didn't answer, which was its own answer. Melissa. Is it Ryan Adler? Yes. So quiet I almost didn't hear it. I stood up. I didn't yell. I wanted to. God, I wanted to, but what came out instead was nothing. I walked to the back porch and stood there looking at the flooded corner of the yard where the drainage never worked right. And I stood there for a long time. And at some point she came to the door behind me and said something about how unhappy she'd been, how disconnected we'd gotten, how she knew it wasn't an excuse. And I just kept looking at the yard. Did you love him? Marcus, please. Did you love him? She started crying. She said she didn't know, which told me everything. I went and slept on the couch, and in the morning I asked her to call Carla and tell her what she'd been using her as a cover for, and I left for practice. I said I'd update, and here I am. Thank you to everyone who commented and sent DMs. I didn't expect that level of response, and I read every single one, even if I couldn't reply to all of them. A few of you asked if I was okay. Honestly, I'm getting there. Most days. Today is a getting there day, so this seems like the right time to write this. Here's what happened. Melissa moved out 11 days after that Monday morning at the kitchen table. She's staying with her sister in Red Bank for now. We have not filed anything yet. No separation papers, nothing legal, but I've consulted with an attorney and I know what my options are. I'm not rushing it. I don't think rushing it leads anywhere good. I'm the one who told her parents, which was not a conversation I wanted to have and which went about as badly as you'd expect. Her mother called me twice. Her father hasn't called at all, which somehow feels worse. My own parents found out when I called my mom on a Tuesday night and cried on the phone like a child, which is not something I had done since I was approximately 9 years old. My mom drove up from Ringgold the next morning and sat with me for 2 days and made food I didn't eat and watched baseball games with me in silence, and I don't have the right words for how much that meant. The mutual friend situation is its own ongoing disaster. We have about 8 couples we're close with, and none of them know quite how to handle it. Some have gone quiet, which I get. They don't want to take sides. They don't want to lose either of us. One couple, Ben and Dara, reached out immediately and came over with beer and didn't make it weird, and that's the kind of thing you remember about people forever. Another friend, a guy named Garrett who I've known since college, actually texted me to say he'd seen Melissa and Ryan together at a bar back in March and hadn't known what to do with that information. He's been apologizing ever since. I'm genuinely not sure how I feel about Garrett right now. The complication nobody saw coming, and this one blindsided me, is that Ryan Adler works with a woman named Trish who apparently knew about the whole thing and felt terrible about it. And 2 weeks after everything blew up, Trish reached out to Melissa's boss, who is a friend of hers. And apparently there's now some kind of HR conversation happening at Melissa's company about whether a relationship between 2 employees on the same project team violates their conduct policy. I had nothing to do with that. I genuinely did not know Trish existed until after it started. But Melissa thinks I engineered it and sent me an angry text about it. And that was a whole other thing. I have not done anything vindictive. I want that on record. There are things I wasn't prepared for. The first morning I woke up alone in that bed, I reached over to her side out of pure reflex. 6 years of muscle memory doesn't stop because everything changed. I hit cold sheets, and then I remembered, and it was like the whole thing happened again in miniature. I found one of her cardigans in the closet about a week in, a green one she wore all the time, still smelling like her shampoo. And I stood there holding it for probably 5 minutes doing absolutely nothing. I didn't cry. I didn't throw it away. I just stood there. Eventually I folded it and put it on the shelf in the garage and closed the door. I make coffee for 2 still. Every morning. I pour it down the sink. There's a Zac Brown band song that comes on the radio sometimes, and I can't listen to it anymore, which is its own specific kind of stupid loss. The dark humor version of all this. I am apparently now in better shape than I've been in years because I've replaced lying awake catastrophizing with running at 5 in the morning. My players think I'm going through some kind of fitness awakening. My assistant coach, Tommy, who is 58 and has been married for 31 years and has seen everything, just looked at me on the first day I came in visibly wrecked and said, "Take BP with the kids today. Hit something." Best coaching advice I've ever gotten. Here's where I am now. The house is mine. We rent, and her name isn't on the lease, so that part is at least uncomplicated. She came to get her things last Saturday with her sister, and I drove to the Riverside ball fields and hit fungos for 2 hours and didn't come home until they were gone. Felt like the right call. No more scenes in the kitchen. I am not ready to think about what comes next in any big picture sense. I'm not ready to think about divorce timelines, or whether I'll ever try again with someone else, or what happens to the life we were supposed to be building. All of that is too large right now, and I've learned that trying to solve problems that are too large just breaks your brain without getting anything done. What I'm focused on is this: showing up to practice, calling my mom, running in the morning, eating actual food, which my buddy Deshaun, who is a grown man and an excellent cook, has made his personal mission by showing up at my door twice a week with containers of things that require 0 effort from me. I did not ask him to do this. He just decided. Some people, when it gets hard, just decide. Melissa and I have texted a handful of times about logistics. It is civil. It is not warm. I don't know what I want it to be. I haven't reached out to Ryan Adler. I have thought about it. I've decided against it every time. There's nothing he could say that would help me, and nothing I want to say to him that would leave me feeling good about myself afterward. So, the house feels big. I didn't realize how much two people fill a space until there's only one. I think the part that gets me most, when I'm really honest with myself, is not the betrayal itself. It's the timeline. 5 months of Thursdays. 5 months of driving home from games in the dark, exhausted, talking about player rotations in my head, and climbing into bed next to someone who was living an entire parallel life. 5 months of mornings and dinners, and that porch swing. All of it real in some ways, and completely hollow in others. I don't know how you hold both of those things at once. I'm still working on it. She kept the green cardigan, by the way. She asked specifically, and I let her have it. Some part of me still wanted her to have it, and I'm not sure what to do with that yet. But I think the fact that I don't have to figure it out today is the closest thing to peace I've found so far. Tomorrow, a man gets a phone call from a number he doesn't recognize, and what the voice on the other end says about his own brother changes everything he thought he knew about his family.